Nerdgasm, 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 nerdgasm. What is up, Failroaders? I'm Joshua Thomas, and you are watching Pixelated Failroad. That's right, this is our chance to talk about video games instead of board games. If, for those of you who are coming to this channel for the first time, we're a board game channel, but occasionally we just get this really big urge to talk about video games, and there's nothing better to start with than Final Fantasy VII. The Remake. Years ago, back when I had the original Nintendo, I got the first Final Fantasy. And I really didn't care for it that much. I really didn't understand how to play it. And yeah, instead of like pressing a pause button to go to your map view or go through your menus or your monster bestiary, you instead unfolded a piece of paper. So here's the world map, here's the bestiary, and yeah, so that was what it was like, and I just kind of brushed it aside until something else came out. That's right, the original Final Fantasy VII. This was a game changer, and I mean a gamer changer too. This changed the way people played video games, and for really good reasons. And ever since then, people always wanted to see it in higher definition. And that finally is going to happen with the remake. I had a chance to download the demo and play it, so everything I've got to talk about comes from my playthrough of the demo, and you're going to see my footage of the playthrough of the demo as well. So let's get started. First off, nerdgasm. Nerdgasm, yes. Nerdgasm, nerdgasm. And you know what? Biggs and Wedge can have a nerdgasm too. Everybody looks so beautiful. I mean, Barrett has this glossy, sweaty kind of skin, like it's kind of like he's nervous, like they're attacking this reactor for the first time, and the emotions really show in this new version, whereas in the old version they could try to show it, but it just wasn't quite there. But everyone, Cloud, Aerith, or Aeris, whichever one you want to say. Hey, speaking of Aeris, were you Team Aeris or Team Tifa? Huh? Comment below. I digress. Cloud looks amazing. He's got the glowing eyes. Aerith is beautiful, stunning. Barrett looks super imposing. Amazing detail on everything involving all the characters. And Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge. Ah, I get the feeling we're gonna fall in love with them. But let's talk about some more details. The environment itself. I've been playing Horizon Zero Dawn, which for those of you who haven't played it and who have, that's a beautiful, stunning looking game. That's one of those games where you want to travel through the world instead of doing the quick travel because you just want to see the sights. You want to see the beautiful scenery, fight the monsters and the robots. It's just one of those things where you look around and every corner you're like, wow, that's beautiful too. And I get the feeling from the demo that Final Fantasy VII is going to be the same way, but with a different kind of tone. It's that more industrial tone, that diesel punk kind of tone. But as I was looking around, I saw so much and that I thought was just such a great detail, like the posters, the drink machines, even the subway or the train route detail map with all the stops and their times. I think the detail is just so beautiful. Another thing I want to talk about is the sidebar conversations. I don't know if a lot of other reviews have talked about this, but we saw one instance of this in the demo, and that is between Biggs and Jessie, and while they're talking, it gives you control of your character back, and you can move around the scene while at the same time, over there in the corner, they're having a conversation. You can still hear them, but you can also read it if you're not really in earshot, which I think it can be cool, but at the same time, I can also understand how it's going to be possibly annoying. You might miss some little tidbits that you wish you had seen, but at the same time, you can continue playing the game while getting these tidbits. So it's really going to be up to, your style of gameplay. I'm kind of a slow reader, so maybe it'll become annoying to me, but I'm not sure. Combat system. This is the thing that everyone was worried about when it came to the remake. After all, Final Fantasy XIII and Final Fantasy XV were very lacking in their combat systems, and that was just something that people were afraid was going to be emulated in Final Fantasy VII Remake. But Square Enix had also given us glimpses that they can make good combat systems as well, such as Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII and Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII, believe it or not. And it shines in this as well. Now, people say that this isn't a button masher, and for the most part that is true, but as you'll see me attacking the Shinra soldiers, you can kind of button mash through the most peon of enemies, but when it comes to other enemies, the ones that are a little bit more advanced, even such as the guard dog, button mashing isn't going to work. So you see, I just click the attack button, and once I go through my whole attack animation with Cloud, Shinra Guard is dead. The guard dog, on the other hand, you've got to use a little bit more strategy with him. Fire is its weakness, so you'll see when I use the fire damage, it immediately staggers him, and I'm able to go in for the kill and get those extra damage bonuses in. Another thing that I don't know if a lot of people really talked much about is the hotkeys in combat. If you look here, I go into the menu and I can set hotkeys for when I press L1 for my 4 primary buttons, and that just gives you so much customizability with each individual character, because depending on where you are in the game, I imagine you'll be able to pause the menu and say, okay, I'm in this area, these enemies are more weak to fire damage or lightning damage, so let me program a bunch of lightning-based attacks for all of my characters. So that is something that I think once you get the hang of, it's going to be amazing and very customizable, and it's going to keep the action flowing in this still ATB combat system, but action ATB combat system, because doing your normal attacks is what fills your ATB faster, allowing you to use specialized attacks that deal more HP damage and cause other abilities to happen. And I also like that, you've got your limit breaks. Some of the original limit breaks have become regular attacks or ATB attacks. ATB is also used for items and magic. And I like what they did with the ATB gauge, where you fill it up and then certain abilities maybe only use 1 bar. Certain abilities, like one of Barrett's special attacks, uses the entire bar. So really interested to see how that evolves throughout the game. Now, I do get annoyed sometimes. This is probably just me learning the game. I played through the demo twice now, and the second time I did a lot better, but I still found myself pausing the menu, trying to access an ability, and thinking, hey, it's all grayed out. Did I run out of MP? No, that's not it. Alright, my ATB gauge isn't full. So that is something I think that you'll get used to. I think the demo wasn't quite long enough to be able to get you used to that. But the strategy really shines in combat against your first boss, the Guard Scorpion. You've got so many options here, even just with your 2 characters. Barrett with his long-range abilities, and earlier on when he's fighting the turrets, It forces you to use strategy and utilize each character's strengths. Well, the same thing goes with the Guard Scorpion. It jumps onto the walls, and where Barrett is really the only person who can land good attacks, and then it's good for Cloud too, who is the faster of the two characters so far, to run around to the back to get the shield generator once it starts generating its shield. You've got to figure out its weaknesses, exploit those weaknesses, and then the combat evolves. So the longer you're in this combat, the more damage the Guard Scorpion takes. It adjusts its style of combat, and then you have to change your strategy based on how it changes. So I'm loving the combat system. It's got such room for growth, and it's already in the very beginning a little tricky to learn, so I recommend playing the demo once or twice just to get used to that before the game comes out. The only thing I don't like about the combat system so far is the aiming system, where you can target certain characters, because then all of a sudden your direction buttons that you're using to kind of help move your character and the camera, all of a sudden now when you're using those same controls, you're switching targets by accident, and when you're in that mode, you kind of can get some really bad camera angles where the camera goes behind some scenery and that scenery is blocking your view, and so you're trying to move the camera while at the same time attacking your enemy. It's a little finicky, and maybe it's just in this one section, maybe because it's the demo, I'm not sure, but something tells me it might happen through the rest of the game. But that's a minor detail. It didn't really bother me in most situations. Really, it was just more in the tighter areas where you had these thin corridors. Let me see. But moving on from that, let's talk about the love triangle that happens between Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith. Because now we have a new contender. And in the original game, yeah, she was flirty. But you really didn't get much of a chance to explore that outside of Midgar. But since this entire game encompasses Midgar, this entire first part, Jessie's gonna get way more fleshed out, and it already shows in the demo. She has way more lines, and she's definitely really flirty with Cloud. I mean, to the point where I'm like, I might have to switch over to Team Jessie.
Nothing like a little danger to get the blood pumping.
Hey!
Just keep those baby blues of yours on me.
She's kind of cute too. They did a really good job on, like I said, everybody. I might, like I said earlier, I'm Team Aerith. I might just convert, at least for this first part. We'll see. Barrett, let's move on to Barrett. First off, love his voice. He's got this very Mr. T vibe to him. He's got this tough guy. He's got that glistening skin, like he's kind of been sweating this first reactor mission. And then to talk about his over-the-top mannerisms. If you ever played the original game really had to rely on over-the-top movements because they couldn't emote those little polygonal characters as well as today's standards. But even so, Barrett was the much more, how should I say, jovial or much more alive character model because of the way he emoted. And while I think they translated that well to this version of the game, sometimes he looks a little awkward, but still I'm really digging it. I think that they did just the right amount. So we'll see how things go there. Like I said, Barrett is versatile in combat. And so far we can see that Aerith is also going to use ranged attacks as well. So we've got Barrett, Aerith, and eventually we're going to have Vincent and Yuffie, who also used ranged attacks. So that's 4 of the 9 characters there with ranged attacks, and we've yet to see how some of the other characters are going to act in battle. I mean, I'm still wondering how they're going to work Kate Sith into this, so Yeah. But anyway, let's talk about the storyline. I'm really enjoying the new dialogue. It's kind of a little campy, but you know what? The original was even more kind of corny at some points. When you're reading it, it's not maybe as bad as when you hear someone else say it out loud. And so I think they kind of kept true to these characters that were in the original and gave them extra dialogue, but still, while I altered it from the original, and I think this new version of their dialogue is better, and I'm really enjoying it, I do see some corny points in there. Like the point where Jessie stumbles and she's like,
Can you walk?
If I couldn't, believe me, you'd be the first to know.
what does that mean? Okay, whatever. Shinra is made more evil in the demo, as we can already see. In the original, they just blew up the reactor and it was a large explosion that sent shards everywhere. But in this one, we can see that our heroes only meant to damage and cause enough damage to deactivate it and cripple it for a long time without blowing the top off. But Shinra presses the self-destruct button and shards go everywhere, so Shinra is more bad than Avalanche. So I'm interested to see what else they do there to kind of make Avalanche more the good guys and Shinra more the bad guy. Because in this one, Shinra is going to be the primary bad guy for the entire game, or at least we think so. So far, I'm hoping for great story points like that were in the original. We already have seen hints that Sephiroth is going to be in this one, at least in Cloud's memories or illusions. So we won't see how far that's going to go in the demo, and you won't see Sephiroth in the demo, but I do wonder if that's going to take away from the build-up to him. I think whatever they did do, they were very careful and considerate. So far from what I could see in the demo, they were very careful and considerate with everything, and they wanted to make sure they got it right the first time. And so far, I gotta say that I think that they did. I'm really excited. Playing the demo 2 times has only made me want to play the game more. I keep thinking about it. I've been watching other people's reviews, and yeah, I have gone from watching videos about other video games on YouTube to primarily just thinking, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Oh, by the way, when I played this game originally, I pronounced the life stream of the planet as Mako Energy, but found out many years later that it's actually Mako. So let me know in a comment below what you think sounds better. Do you think Mako sounds better, or do you like Mako the way it goes instead? Me, maybe this is just the nostalgia in me, but I still kind of want to call it Mako. Well, that was my thoughts on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm excited. I love the way the combat system is looking, and I've got it pre-ordered, so I'm going to get a physical copy. Let me know what you think in a comment below. Thank you for watching this long. Like and subscribe if you want to see more from us. We do mostly board games, and we've got more board game videos coming out, and probably some more Pixelated Failroad as well. So, check you next time.